Danny.
Hi, Lance.
We have gone through the entire Halloween franchise except for one film. There's one film left for the Halloween franchise, and it's the latest edition of Michael Myers and the Laurie Strode story in 2018. And we both feel very differently about this movie. As you can see, Danny's very excited.
I am very excited.
I am a little reluctant. Boy, Danny, let's just, you know what? Give us our pumpkin spice latte and let's get it over. Let's get into it right now.
Wow. Well, okay, Lance. I'll jump right into the pumpkin spice latte. But before I do that, let me just say how happy I am for this moment. I have waited for a while. What a journey. But here we are with the pumpkin spice latte for Halloween 2018. Halloween 2018 starts and takes place right after the events of the original Halloween from 1978. Admittedly, ignoring everything else. I'm talking about even Halloween 2, which was written by John Carpenter and Deborah Hill. Everything. The only thing that exists for this movie are the events and the characters and the story and everything from the original Halloween. It takes place 40 years after the original Halloween. They didn't call it H40 because that would be ridiculous. So, since the events of the original Halloween, Michael Myers was caught that night. This is what the story tells us. He was captured that evening or that night of Halloween after murdering Laurie's friends and nearly murdering Laurie herself. He's committed immediately to a sanitarium where he has been spending his whole damn life. Meanwhile, throughout all that, Laurie Strode has been trying to live a life very much in shambles, almost to the point of not being able to live a normal life from the events of being attacked and losing her friends on that night. So, Jamie Lee Curtis is back as Laurie Strode, a doomsday prepper of sorts, Laurie Strode, a grandma Laurie Strode, who has a interesting connection with her granddaughter, but an estranged connection with her actual daughter, who she had raised to be a doomsday prepper herself, but was taken away from her by the state. So the movie shows us the events that have led up to this moment, as well as Michael Myers eventually escaping after they are transferring him on this 40th anniversary. He escapes and he wreaks havoc on the town of Haddonfield once again. But all the while, he is being now chased and hunted by Laurie Strode, who is very well capable of doing so. There is no more sister-brother storyline. That has been removed, which is fantastic. The only thing that we know is that Michael Myers attacks and kills, and that's all. Halloween 2018. A continuation of the night he came home, 40 years in the making. What a wonderful movie.
And I don't agree at all. So
you know what, Lance? I think it's pretty fitting that on our last installment of the franchise, by the way, let me just say that it's been such a fun ride to get to this point.
It has been, yeah. And we've been kind of waiting on this one in particular because we are split in surprising ways. There's reasons why Danny loves it and I don't. But everything up until this point has been so much fun, just diving into every minute and all of our favorite moments. And here we are.
But I have been waiting to say this ever since our second episode. I am very excited to talk about Halloween 2018, the greatest sequel in this franchise.
Says Danny.
Okay. Lance said that exact sort of line. about Halloween 2, 1981, which you thought was the greatest sequel of any movie ever.
Yes. Any horror film ever.
Any horror movie sequel,
Yes.
Halloween 2, 1981 is the best.
Yes.
I will say that this movie is the best sequel in this franchise.
In the franchise. I'm curious what you would say is the best horror sequel ever.
House 2.
Okay. That's fair.
House 2 changed all the rules.
Yeah. Okay. Something else we'll dive into way later. That surprised the shit out of me. I'm sure it surprised a lot of other people too.
That's shout out to my buddy Joe Spence. House 2 is one of the top 5 comedies of all time. Actually, it's honorable mention, but yeah.
Okay. I've been curious about that because you made a reference to that. And like, okay, he's got something else in his head.
Yeah, House 2, man. But we're not here to talk about House 2. We're talking about Halloween 2018.
Here's the thing. Before I saw a trailer, before I saw anything, a poster, anything about this film, we started adding who was going to be a part of this and who's writing it.
David Gordon Green.
Right.
Yes. Yes. And Danny McBride.
Why is Danny McBride a writer on this?
I think, Lance, I can speak to that. Danny McBride fancies himself a multi-layered individual, as I like to think of myself. He's very well versed in comedy. He's a very funny dude. But like all of us, grew up on these movies, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And when you know something, let's keep in mind here, we are far removed now from pigeonholing any of these creative minds. Jordan Peele, we remember him from Key and Peele, and he's a phenomenal. And now we're going to see Chris Rock in more serious roles, and then in the new Saw movie that's coming out,
which looks really good.
Is it called Spiral? Right,
Spiral. Yes.
Yeah. So
from the book of Saw.
Yes. So I was just as shocked. I've seen that Danny McBride was a writer on this, and that he would be involved. You could definitely feel his presence in the movie for sure, but I don't think it turned me off.
Okay, well, that is only the tip of the iceberg for me. So Danny McBride apparently came from YouTube. He was discovered off of YouTube, and that's what he says he originally started doing was horror films on YouTube, and he's a big fan. Okay, that doesn't bother me. You bring John Carpenter back into the mix.
Right, as a producer, I think.
As a producer, but he's mostly doing music for this.
Mostly, he is tasked with coming up with the score. It's with him, his son, and another collaborator.
But it's also to tag him on the fact that there's going to be a 40-year convention coming up. It's the same formula as H2O. Let's get everyone back together, which was Jamie Lee Curtis's original intention, was to bring John back onto H2O and have everybody kind of be a part of it. For me, it's starting to become the machine that H2O was meant to be. Of making it, it's a 40-year thing. We know we're going to make money off of this. What else can we attach to this? Blumhouse is going to take some rights to this. Who else? Universal's getting some rights to this. I think another company has something to do with this. But here's where everything starts to go downhill. Everyone starts trashing the entire franchise. And this is before we get anything written. We just know who's attached to it. John Carpenter comes out. Jamie Lee Curtis trashes her character from H2O and Resurrection, and
rightfully so.
But you're going to defend her character, and all her character is in this film is a direct progression from those two movies. We'll get into that later. But John Carpenter destroys the entire franchise. He destroys Halloween 2, which he was a big part of. Apparently, he didn't want to do it.
We talked about that. We talked that he did not want to do it.
Right.
You know as well as I do that John Carpenter is a crotchety old jaded filmmaker who never got his in real time respect except for Halloween.
Right.
Every movie that he created and directed and wrote and whatnot put out there was ostracized and not supported in the theaters. They bombed essentially. So you have to give a little bit of, or you don't have to give anything, but you can see where the man's coming from. He did not wait for this movie to start shitting. As you recall, he had very fun things to say about Rob Zombie's Halloweens.
Yeah, quite. I think it was around this media time where he started trashing on Rob Zombie. It was during the press for this film, actually. The second time around, they started trashing Zombie.
Which, look, I haven't heard him say a good thing even about his original. I've never seen a positive quote from John Carpenter. If it's not so surly and like, you know, kind of like
he at
old
least
man.
talks about it as like a labor of love, something that he really enjoyed doing and everyone seemed to enjoy doing.
Right. Which is why I will say this is why this movie, the Blumhouse, David Gordon Green, Danny McBride as well, all went to John. They went to Jamie, and they said, "This is what's going on. This is what we want to do. What do you think?" And they were on board. So that to me told me that this is a movie that they felt. First of all, we have to understand that no way does this movie erase these. These still exist. And they exist, and they are still movies, and there's a storyline, and we can follow that through. That doesn't take away from it. The story's been told. I find myself hard. It's hard times. I'm hard pressed to remind myself of that same idea because I hold things very dear and true to me. I love Big Trouble in Little China. They're gonna make a remake or a sequel of it with not Kurt Russell and or anybody. And you know what? I got angry, but then I settled down and I said, Big Trouble in Little China with Kurt Russell is still exists, and it doesn't take away from it. So the idea that you can see this franchise that exists before us as having existed, and it's still okay. And this is just a new story. It's a new thing to tell. It's like with the alien stuff, like the Prometheus and Covenant and all that stuff.
That's fine. I'll give into that. But they're still trashing in the entire franchise at this point. And I got into it with somebody else about this, but Danny McBride and the other writer, I don't remember his name. You know it. They never trash it, but they kind of skirt around like, yeah, there's some definite things we would have changed, and they kind of trash it without trashing it. So
I think are you alluding to when they said, as long as I wasn't related to Michael, I would be okay? Because I remember Danny McBride saying that. He was like, the movies, and we have agreed on this when we talked about Resurrection especially, and even some in the Rob Zombies, Michael stopped being scary. You know, H2O and Resurrection for sure started making him into the Freddy of the early 2000s and the late 90s. They wanted to make him the commercialized boogeyman that they could sell merch on and make movies, and people would go out in droves to see it. And that's all good and well, but you got to be afraid of the boogeyman. And when you keep on driving that idea that the family is like, he's going after his niece, he's still going after his sister, and anybody who is attached to that. And then, so I think what Danny McBride said, he said, if you aren't related to Michael, you just need to kick back and just kind of just stay out of his way. You know what I mean? So in a sense, it's like, that's true. I found myself being like, well, I think it's, and again, take away the sequels. Please don't take them away, actually. No, but like, just imagine that they don't exist for 2 seconds. And imagine that Halloween 1, 1978 was just it. As that movie exists, it is not meant to spur these. It was never meant to that. Okay. We know that. So the idea of should he have been related to her or not, none of that was ever established in the original. So I have no problem with this movie taking that original as the starting point and going on their own tangent.
Okay. Smile. You know what? That's the thing, though, is there's just this hint of we're trashing everything that we did before. Jamie Lee Curtis especially goes into H2O and Resurrection, which during H2O she seemed fairly happy with what she was doing at that time. Resurrection, obviously, we talked about. Yeah. Not so much, but if you trash this whole franchise that people love, you are still catering to a huge fan base like us that have watched every movie and talk about every minute from these movies and try to dissect anything that they threw at us. You're kind of shitting on us. I would believe that to be true if all that we had were those interviews. But we don't. We have a new movie that they're giving us. Okay. Jamie's coming back. John's going to be involved. So in a way, they're like, we have our opinions as creators and as artists, but we are not discounting the fan, because here is a new thing that we want to give you. And not only this, but
spoiler, 2 more after this. It's a trilogy stemming off the original.
Well, you kind of fell into what I'm trying to get at, which is the movie that we ended up getting, for me, feels shot for shot the entire franchise that we just trashed.
I don't know, shot for shot.
Quite a few shots for shots.
I will, if we can call anything that we've seen in the previous franchise installments homages, we can call these homages.
There's several. I mean,
but then do you can put it in the category of it being, hey, we're poking fun at it, or we know who we're talking to, we know who this is for, we know who's watching this. This is our way to acknowledge that we have a new idea. It doesn't fit with these, but we want to let you know that we don't discount them in a weird sort of way. So the homages are a way to kind of, it's fan service. It's to help, and it's to for us to appreciate. Sorry, it's them appreciating the series. Okay. That's how I viewed it. Especially how I viewed it.
I viewed it the complete opposite direction of, no, we shit on this thing, everything. And then I feel I see H2O, or I see H2 in there. I see H2O in there. I see some Rob Zombie stuff in there. I see something from almost every film. There's some funny parts in there that, and at the end of the day, honestly, here's the twist. The movie isn't terrible. I'm not like totally against the movie. I'm just going into this film, what was sold to me. I wanted no part of it. Like, we already did a reboot of Michael Myers and Haddonfield with Rob Zombie's take on it. I'm like, the guy is dead. Leave him alone. For me, I'm done with the franchise. Let me love this franchise and let's walk on, move on. Michael was great. Let's make something new, and that's where I'm at with it. But in the end, we get basically a whole bunch of recaps and a sense of almost every movie that we've already seen. And that's where my disdain for the film is. And it's all in that. And again, it's the advertising.
Sure.
Yeah. And John, you mentioned John Carpenter being part of this and being brought in. And I remember the little internet searches that I do. It was very unclear how much involvement he had. And he put in some like, oh, I'm doing this. And nobody really knew. Everybody thought this was a John Carpenter thing until it started to cement itself as, no, this is more of a Blumhouse and this is what's really happening. And John Carpenter didn't really help us out in that. So nobody knew, again, what we were getting ourselves into with this film.
Well, I hear everything you're saying, and with the utmost love for you, I'm going to disagree because, first of all, I get that being misled, I talked about it previously. Being misled is one of the worst things that any horror fan should be put through as far as being misled in marketing and or trailers. Having said that, I believe that this movie decided that it was going to take this bold direction, and it wanted the blessings of the Allfather essentially in this franchise. So John Carpenter was probably secured as a producer credit, so his name was going to be attached to it and all that stuff. So they're going to throw that out there at you, but like at the same time, we don't need John to do anything because we've done so many without John. I mean, we've done it with his original characters, but him being involved and knowing that if there was a good or other Halloween story that he personally wanted to tell, he would have told us by now. It's been 40 years. So I love that David Gordon Green was the director and the guy who's going to take this movie and give it the respect and the energy that it needed. Mm-hmm. That we don't need a golden years John Carpenter to be really pushing himself and putting himself through these rigors. He doesn't need to do that. What he does very well, and what we love him so much as far as like what he gave to us besides the characters was his ability to give us this amazing soundtrack.
Yes,
and that doesn't go away. As far as like the fighter's punch, a musician can create and can be sharp well into their golden years. And John was going to be involved in the score. He was going to do it, and boy, did he deliver!
Yes, he did, and I just said that to you out there. I mean, it is my favorite soundtrack away from the original. I think if you compared them today, like if they both came out, I would actually choose the newer one. I just love those hard hits.
Oh yeah, there's a bit of a new and a bit of an old. There's a bit of a bit of we're gonna help you out. He had his. It's funny. You watch the behind the scenes. He's got his his old synthesizer there.
Oh, yeah.
But there's new tools to use it, and that I think image is the encapsulation of what any reimagining, remake, requel, whatever the hell should be. You have your old, but look at all these new toys that I can help the old be enhanced with. So a lot of cool techniques to make some really fun music and fun atmosphere, and the score is just if I could paint the picture, because I love how I saw this movie. I saw it in theaters opening day with my girlfriend at the time, who is now my fiance, and soon she's going to be my wife. Oh my God, I'm going so many points. I hope we're going to be anyway.
The comment section.
I know, the comment section. Oh my God, I can't believe she said that.
Oh no.
Anyway, so it's opening day, and I normally don't like to be around a lot of people, pandemic otherwise. I just don't. Like, it's hot, and I like cold because I'm bigger. And so we're in a packed house. We're ready to watch it, and she knows how much of a fan I am. I'm wearing my shirt, and there's a bunch of other fans in there, and she's just going on this journey with me. And the movie opens with these photos wrong, podcast journalists who are going to the sanitarium it's got that new twist, because the idea is that these podcasters are going to go and interview Michael to it's like these cold cases, true crime. They're doing a true crime podcast, and they're going to go and try and get anything from him. He's been very silent. We're introduced to his new doctor, which we will get into that, where you introduced to his new doctor, Dr. Sartain, who says, make no mistake about it, he's aware. I like he's
the new Loomis.
I can't defend him as what character he is, but he's very much there for service of Loomis, but we will get into that here in a minute. So these podcasters are here to basically antagonize, to get something out of Michael, and it's a man and a woman, and the guy reaches into his little satchel and pulls out a friend from in the DA's office, is allowing him to get the actual Michael Myers mask from the murderers, and he pulls it out, and it's old man Michael, because it's latex, and it's gonna go through some stuff. That's what happens to it. And he pulls it out, and Michael's giving them his back, and he's trying to get Michael to say something by showing him the mask, and Michael's not really budging, but you could tell that the intensity is raising, because a lot of the other inmates are in their own, it's like social distancing, but they're in these like squares where they can't be near each other because they're crazy,
chained to a block.
Yeah. And when that mask comes out, the German Shepherd starts going nuts. The intensity starts raising. All the inmates start kind of screaming, hooping, and hollering. The journalist is screaming. He's telling Michael to say something, and it's rising. You think he's just going to turn around and kill him, and the guy screams, say something, and the opening title hits, and the music hits, and the entire theater went bananas. They lost it, and I did too. I'm not a clapper in the theater, not really. But it was just a huge moment. Everyone was just so excited, and I felt like I was getting ready and on a journey, and that just it let me know that I was going to be satisfied, and I was. We were both satisfied, and just seeing the way Caitlin looked at me, and I was just like, kind of just giddy and stuff, like the way I am now, because I remember that moment. I'll never forget it. And then it leads us into this title sequence that from the original we saw a pumpkin. Oh, yes. Just kind of burning and just being a pumpkin, a jack-o'-lantern, and it is a reverse from from a rotten pumpkin into a full pumpkin. You got to admit that was very cool.
No, it looks like an inflatable basketball.
Get out of here. Get out of town and take a bus.
Super CGI. I actually love the cool, first image of this, which is just the rotting, deflated pumpkin. But then it starts to pump up. Somebody's putting some air into this thing, and it blows up. Gosh, Lance. Also, he is literally activated by the mask because he does this twitch, and then everybody starts reacting to the mask being out. So Michael's activation is the mask in this podcast. Hey, we have a podcast.
Hey, we do.
Should we go talk to some killers and talk to our friends at the DA? And
you have friends at the DA? Because then we got to talk.
I got some connections, bro. Let's go.
No, these podcast journalists never struck me as good. You know what I mean? They reek of hidden agenda. They reek of cash grab. They reek of let's get get rich fast scheme. But they have money, so it's
you're
weird.
Talking about the character.
No, I'm not talking about us. I'm talking about the podcast journalists.
No, what I see them as is just a vessel to link immediately Michael to Laurie to the mask, and that is they are a vessel for that. Otherwise, it doesn't make it. It makes sense, I guess, but the fact that they get so much clearance to see this guy who's about to be locked up forever,
right?
He's untouchable now.
Michael's going to be transferred to maximum super go and die security, right?
No more doctors, no more anything. You're going to rot. Yeah, that's where Michael's headed. So for me, I was just like, if this guy is that dangerous, he's so far gone lost, you're going to let podcasters?
I know. And they're with the doctor. So they get to a certain, certain clearance with him, which like you got to talk about 40 years. There hasn't been an incident. He hasn't done anything. He's just been chilling and, living his life as a normal inmate. So nothing has really happened. He's been psychologically, evaluated. As a matter of fact, it is referenced that Dr. Loomis, before he dies, because yes, Donald Pleasance has at this point obviously passed away. So the doctor, they did not recast Dr. Loomis, which would be ancient, 40 years on top of how old he was already. The character has died, so this new doctor, Dr. Sartain, has it's all these doctors who think but I have the key, I was the one who made the discovery, he's like, I'm gonna get across to Michael, so he takes over for Loomis. But it's assumed through all the real case court files that these podcasters have that Loomis was still post him going out that Halloween night was still trying to be his doctor. There was a court case and Loomis testified that, you need to kill him. You can't let him live. All that stuff was just, I don't like them taking liberties with characters that can't really be spoken for themselves. So maybe that rubbed me the wrong way just because like they distorted the voice and you kind of made Loomis come off as a little bit crazy. But as a matter of fact, like he is a bit crazy. Loomis is. We've alluded to that.
Did we in the first film?
We've alluded to the idea that he's a little on edge.
He's on edge, but he still has that coolness to him where he's just like, we got to find him.
Maybe in the later sequels is when definitely in the later sequels.
Those don't exist, Danny.
No, but I'm saying is like what would happen for a doctor? Imagine a doctor that had his patient escape, killed people, and then they catch him, and now he's just has to like. How do you navigate that? You yourself, if you're treating Michael, you would start to kind of lose it if you're trying to get something out of him and nothing's happening. So like. Maybe he did deteriorate as a person as well as Laurie did. So
possibly.
I
feel like Loomis would just be like, okay, we got him. I'm done.
But then again, we don't know. I mean, he's probably being blamed and sued for the deaths of Annie and Linda and Bob. And, there's a lot to be. And then you got emotional distress. We don't know if Laurie and Loomis had a good relationship. We will know in the new ones because I'm hearing there's going to be flashbacks.
Oh, great.
Is right.
We'll talk about that. The podcasters we find Laurie, who's kind of out in the middle of nowhere, but later on that doesn't make sense to me. But she's out in the middle of nowhere. She's
like a doomsday prepper. She's got like very fortified security. She's got cameras. She's living a very desolate sort of barren land life. That's the life that she's living right now. So she lets these podcasters in because they say they'd pay her $5,000, $3,000, $10,000, and they're gonna pay her some money. So that's the reason she lets them in. And then the way they are talking to her, she doesn't like it because they're like treating Michael as a human being, and she's like, no, Michael is not a human being. He's pure evil. You guys don't understand anything. You think you're going to be the ones to get through to him? She's like, get the hell out. Give me my money.
Yeah. But they also try to push her to talk to Michael, which bothered me so much. Like, these aren't human beings. Like, if we're going back into the character of these useless characters, they're pushing Laurie Strode to face her killer after 40 years, which she just said, it's ruined my life. I've had 2 divorces.
Well, they throw that actually at her. That's what why I really hate these podcasters is because they're like poking and prodding. You tried to get Michael to lose it. Now you're over here with this survivor who's obviously been through shit, and you're like, so you've been through 2 divorces. Like, what's that like? I'm like, what the fuck, bitch? Give me my money and shut the hell up. God dang.
So we get nothing out of it except that bridged gap. So that's what the podcasters are there for. I can't imagine them ever getting into any of these places, actually. But
yeah, well, money talks. You know how it goes.
Even if they're award winning.
Sure. I mean, yeah, the podcasters are there just to kind of put that new tinge, which I honestly don't think that it's so far fetched. I think it actually makes total sense that, a live true crime podcast would be there trying to get the facts. I could see My Favorite Murder and people like that doing that.
Trying. I cannot see them getting in.
Well, stranger things have happened, but at the same time, it's at the discretion of that hospital, and we know that Dr. Sartain is adventurous.
Pretty much immediately.
We know that he's extra because he himself is like, well, screw it. If I can't get through to him, maybe these guys bringing out the mask and like, we'll get him to do something. He just wants him to do something. You can imagine how frustrating that is as a doctor. You're trying to get through to a patient. What is the one thing that you can do to somebody, whether you're in a relationship or not, or like if your mom gave you the silent treatment or vice versa? Oh my God. Like, that shit, so you imagine doing it for 40 years? That shit's annoying. So I could imagine. But anyway, we're introduced immediately to the lineage of the Strode women. We see Laurie's granddaughter, Allison, and we see Laurie's daughter, Kara. Right?
Yes.
Kara. Aww. Her name's Kara? Is that right?
Isn't it?
Karen.
Is it?
It has to be Karen, because if it's Kara, that's like the name of Kara Strode from Halloween 6. Her name was Kara, the redhead.
Oh, yeah. You're right.
I think it's Karen.
It's got to be Karen.
In any case, there's not a good relationship. We know that. I feel so bad for Laurie. Like, there's really, really good stuff. This would take too long for me to gush about all the stuff I like, because I do like a lot of stuff in this. But there's some. I think I can bookmark them with the score titles in the. Honestly, I can. It's the. Maybe not the score titles that are not really coming to me right now, but it's the one where she's in the car, because she's witnessing the transfer of him going into the bus, and she's in her car, and it's just that, like, you think that she got a gun, she's gonna probably try and go kill him, but she's just like, you could see that like she's having a hard time dealing with it, and she's screaming and crying, and like she feels the pressure. It's like, it's a very traumatic experience that she had to go through, and now she's just like wrestling with those demons every day of her life. I think it's so powerful. It's what Scout Taylor Compton in Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 was trying to do, but I just think that this was done and portrayed way more effectively.
Yeah, well, different ages, different character. I mean,
yep,
sure. I mean, both made an attempt.
No, both made an attempt, but
my thing with Laurie is there's even a scene later down the road where she meets her granddaughter for a drink, for a celebration, because she made the not honor
National
roll,
Honor Society,
National Honor Society, which Laurie was also a part of.
That dude, okay, but I'm sorry, and I don't want to interrupt, but that one just kills me, man, because she's there, and it's just like, I was in the National Honor Society too, and when she says that, I like, she's smiling, and you think of Lori from 1978, dude. It's just
but then she chugs a glass of wine, and what Lori am I thinking of?
H2O.
Yeah, it's not Chardonnay, it's red wine,
but here's the thing, like, and that's okay. That's okay to think that if you're looking for stuff like that, you know.
It's the same.
Yeah.
It's okay. Listen.
Okay.
She's drugging herself in H2O. She's drinking heavily, which they say, I thought you were done drinking. Now she's drinking again. In Resurrection, she's setting traps. She's waiting for Michael the whole time. Like it's if she doesn't fall off the building in Resurrection, this is a progression of the same character. Okay. She survived the fall, and now we're here. And then we meet Karen. Is the girl's name the
daughter?
The daughter.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with that. I know it's Kay. I know
the teenage daughter.
Oh no, that's Allison.
Allison, thank you. We meet her and her friends,
right?
And there's this forced dialogue about, isn't that her brother?
No, that's just something that the media made up to sell newspapers.
Super forced. Hate it.
Oh my God, Lance. How else are you going to get that information? And how else are you going to tell the audience that is watching this, that is not us, what they're watching? You have to.
Okay, but you can do it a lot better than that.
Okay.
This is in the scene. Okay,
would you rather had newspaper clippings in the opening title sequence?
So this scene reminds me of H6. This is Halloween 6. The kids walking down the street telling the story of... with Karen, about Karen, or no, excuse me, about
Allison.
Huh?
Which part in H6?
Where the kids are walking down the street and they're going to the high school, and the kid makes the Beavis and Butthead reference. Oh, I think it's cool. They're talking about Tommy. Sure, yes. That's the way it's shot. They're talking about Tommy and his drawings and all this kind of stuff. Not Tommy.
Danny.
Right in front of me.
I'm right here.
They're talking about Danny, and that's what this scene reminds me of. Is let's force out some information to catch people up with we are. One thing that kid he makes a good point, actually. Like in today's standards, Michael only kills 5 people, which is awful and grotesque and all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
But by today's standards, with what we're dealing with in 2018, I like that he makes that point, at least in this forced dialogue in this remake scene.
His name is Dave, and Dave is actually is a pretty good dude.
He's probably the only decent male in this film. The dad is a decent dude. He's just not all there.
No, I like the deputy.
Which one?
Freaking Yost from Remember the Titans.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah, he's awesome.
He's all right. I like him as an actor and a lot of stuff.
Oh my God, he's awesome. There's one name missing from this list. Michael Myers. Hell yeah, the way he freaking delivers
the thing too.
Michael Myers. Yeah, man. Yost! They're taking Alan out. Anyway, Slashers Paradise does Remember the Titans. Anyway, sure, man. I guess there's not the perfect way to deliver information that the entire audience needs to know. The entire audience needs to know. Notice what I'm saying here. Because I don't need to know it, because I know what you want me to know, because I'm a fan. But, somebody who's just walking off the street is like, oh, Halloween, I think I know this movie. And then they have to, tell them exactly what it is. So I get it. I understand.
But if they don't know what it is, then they have no idea about the connection anyway.
No. I'm saying if they've seen any of the Halloween movies and they walk into this knowing, oh, there's been a bunch of Halloween movies, right? This is just their way of, you have to tell the audience what they're watching. If there's any storyline shift, you have to tell them in the movie. It just has to happen. There has to be. Think of any prequel. Think of anything that you've ever seen that has to shift the story. Yeah, shift the timeline. Okay. You have to be told in real time that it is, and in one way or another. Whether it's like, episode 1, the Republic is in peril, whatever. It's something like that, or it's something like, what we just saw, what we just heard. Okay. So. Yeah, but back to Dave and Allison and that little crew. I like them. There's a natural dynamic between them. We're introduced immediately to Allison's boyfriend, who's a super douchebag. Not right then. He's actually pretty cool up until he's not.
He fools you for a minute. Yeah. I think he's going to be good
As
too.
all these pretty boys do. Am I right? Anywho. Yeah, so we don't really see a lot of or we get a sense of the animosity and the non-working relationship between Lori and Karen. But Lori and Allison, it's because grandmothers, man, you know, it's different. Yeah. She gives her the $3,000. Lori gives Allison the $3,000 that the podcaster gave to her. She's like, you know, I can't take this. She's like, use her for college. Oh, she's like, I'm going to use it for college. And what does Lori say? Fuck college. Can you imagine studious Lori who forgot her chemistry book saying fuck college? But you know what? That one, no, I get it. Yeah. You know, go out, go to Mexico.
You start to value life a lot differently once you almost
die and your friends die. Can you, just putting yourself in that position, and what I think Rob Zombie was trying to establish or achieve in his sequel to his Halloween. Yes, there is a post-traumatic stress, and everyone, no matter who you are, is going to interpret it and deal with it differently. So in Lori's case, it was, I'm not going to be helpless again. And that's because she kicked major ass against Michael. But she knew, she just knew it. She's like, I'm going to be prepared. And she tried to live a normal life. Like, she had a child. She tried to raise her like if she was going to be, you know, this survivalist. And I think, you know, that's one way to raise your kid, I suppose. But that's just a taste of what something that traumatic can do to a person, you know? So I was totally on board with it. I love this iteration of Lori because we've seen many. We've seen helpless Lori. We've seen naive Lori. We've seen I'm not going to take it anymore Lori. We've seen fuck it, let's jump off the edge of a roof Lori. And now we're seeing I'm going to fight back, or I'm going to fight back. I'm ready for you. I'm actually looking for you, Lori. Yeah,
she essentially, sometimes obviously and sometimes not, is Michael in this movie. She's more the hunter than Michael is. I'm critiquing so much, but I'm so over the scene of somebody looking out of their classroom and seeing Lori.
But there, you just answered. You just highlighted the whole thing right there.
What I compare it to is like, oh my God, this is the fourth or fifth time we've seen this in the franchise. It's like watching the Batman movies again and again. We have to see his parents die in an alley. We get it. We know it. And I understand what your point is going to be is all the new fans, but I'm so tired of seeing this. But it does establish that Lori is now the shape instead of Michael, because it's going to happen a lot more.
I thoroughly enjoyed that little moment because, again, I know you see them as direct knockoffs or shot for shots. I see them as homages. That's just the way how we're going to be during this episode, and that's okay. But I love that because it establishes a, hey, remember this? Cool. But this is just a kind of fun way to show you that they are about to talk. And I just thought it was I thought it was clever, and you got to kind of give some sort of like, you know, the Leonardo DiCaprio meme where he's like pointing at the TV like, there it is. You know, you got to have some of that. So I enjoyed that little moment. I enjoy all little homages. Like, as if it's not obvious, I did mention that Michael does escape, and he escapes in just the bus is transporting all the patients, gets, you know, something happens and they're all loose. And Michael, in his white gown, kills and commandeers a car of a hunter and his son, all the son wants to do is dance. Yeah. I like hunting, Dad, but I don't want to go hunting. I want to dance with you.
Welcome to 2018. And his dad just doesn't understand it, and
that's okay. His son. I mean, I kind of related to that son because I remember being, you know, having to go to the ranch and stuff, and you know, being like, I just want to be dancing.
What's great, I do like. There's a lot that I do like about this. But I like that the kid still grabs the gun and goes looking for his dad, and everything that his dad did teach him, whether he wants to know it or not.
Yo, look, I love acting. I love movies, but my father raised me at the ranch. If I need to go get down with the get down, I'm going to get down. You know what I mean?
And that's what I actually love about it, is they're having a very 2018, 2019, 2020 conversation.
Absolutely.
And it's still a payoff because the dad goes missing, amongst another kind of homage. This one, all of these throwbacks in this scene, I really enjoy because they're so subtle.
Yeah,
we get the patients going out, which he's not wearing a gown; he's wearing pants and
it's like scrubs.
Scrubs,
yeah, all white scrubs. Everyone's wearing all white scrubs. I think some are in whatever. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But the kid pulls out the gun, the rifle, goes looking for his dad, hits the bus. And we see one of your favorite characters, apparently, the doctor. He's not one of my favorite characters. I just understand why he's there. I think he's hilarious, by the way, just because like he's so over the top. Yeah. And you know what? If you're gonna make an over the top character, make him know himself. And allow him to live in that world of being kind of ridiculous, you know? Okay.
So the kid gets on the bus.
The kid gets on the bus.
Don't shoot.
Don't shoot. Boom. Blast him. Got him good, though, right?
And the kid is terrified. Yeah. He gets him like right in the shoulder.
Yeah.
Right?
He gets him like if he didn't have any treatment, he was going to bleed out. So kid, retreats back to the car where Michael is in the back. A little bit of Annie.
Yes. And this, again, these are the playbacks that I like to see because they're so subtle that if you don't know, you don't know.
Right.
And if you don't know, it's actually just a great scene on its own.
Can you imagine if you hadn't seen the original Halloween or any Halloween and you just watched this and you first saw Laurie standing outside the school? It's kind of cool, you know, if you had never seen anything.
To me, I'd be like, okay, why is grandma stalking me?
Chingo, Lance, come on.
That was fan service no matter what. If it's your first time, you're like, okay, why is grandma stalking me at school?
That's how grandmas get you from school. You don't do that. But my grandma stood outside the school all the time. Just be like,
dude, grandma would be in the window. Is this your class? Like,
you're
grandma's
right.
not waiting outside like that. But
grandma's also not a doomsday prepper like Laurie. So there's that.
Okay.
Come on.
Anyway, I do like this scene a lot because it is a great playback and it's so quick. And that's the one thing I will give credit to is a lot of those homages are quick, where it's not like, did you get it?
Right.
Which we get so much in the franchise, but this is a quick snap of the neck kind of a thing. He kills a kid. Yeah. It's foggy a little bit. Yeah. And I like the kid a lot too. Like this was a cool scene. I really like this scene a lot.
Yeah, so he's got wheels now, so he's ready to rock and roll. So he catches up with these jackass of podcasters who are filling up at a fill station. Did you at mechanic fill station / fill station? Very, very important. Got to say mechanic because we need mechanics so that we can get their coveralls.
Right. Yeah. So we're at Halloween 4 now,
and we are at Halloween
H2O and Halloween 2. Rob Zombie's Halloween 1. Sorry.
And very, very subtle, the bus that's next to him, it's called
Resurrection.
Yeah, it's Resurrection Church or something like that, or Victory Outreach.
Too, I was like,
I'm like, if you're gonna give Resurrection anything, it better just be the name and move the fuck on.
Yeah, I saw that too. All right, we get it. That one sucked. But you had to pay attention to it.
Yeah, right. So Michael catches up with the journalist. The woman has to use the restroom or the loo. And Michael steals coveralls and kills everyone there that's at the gas station. Goes in to the stalls of the restroom. This, Lance, was so well done. So amazingly creepy. So scary. He's going stall by stall, finds the one that she's in, shakes it. She's like, excuse me, someone's in here, right? And he just reaches over the stall. And meanwhile, the man is a podcast journalist. He's filling up and he's going to pay, and he's noticing that, some people are dead in there. When back to the restroom, Michael reaches over the stall and just drops a handful of teeth that he has probably taken from the mechanic that he punched his lights out from. Like, terrifying. Starts shaking the stall, and she is about to, well, if she wasn't already in that position, she would have been afterwards, because I would definitely be shitting myself if that was happening, because that's terrifying.
This is where your mom comes in and says that she'll clean that up for you.
Don't do that, Mom. I'm trying to be cool. I'm trying to be cool in front of my friends. So anyway, so the guy comes to try and rescue it. They're shooting it very well to where you still don't see Michael's face full on, because he's not wearing the mask yet. And he just takes these two to town, kills them both very, very well. Very well. You know what?
Very well done, Michael.
No, because I already told you, I hate these journalists because how dare you just go to someone who's been through something and you just kind of be like, hey, do you remember when that shit happened? How do you feel? Like, right? Like,
Right?
Right? Am I right or not? So he gets them good and he goes to their car, opens the trunk. What's in the trunk? He knows because he feels the power of Grayskull. He opens the trunk and pulls out the mask and puts it on. Looking so good. No eyes. You can just see the darkness. They shot it just like if it was 78 Halloween, to where, you know, no screens or anything. He's got his mask on and it is time to rock and roll, baby.
Okay. So we're to assume that nothing else, we've never seen this aggression out of Michael before, because in Halloween 1, the only one that exists, we see him playing around with things. So it's taken him 40 years or whatever, and now he's super aggressive and slamming people through doors and taking out an entire restroom. So this is a different Michael.
Okay, so I think what happens, or what you're saying here, is that I think you're still annoyed and mad about the shitting on the previous series.
I am,
but it's okay.
But no, now I'm trying to rewire my brain to go back to Halloween 1 only, and I am getting away from Rob Zombie. I'm getting away from any aggression that Michael Myers has ever really shown, because in Halloween 1, he kills 5 people.
Mm-hmm.
We see how many of those murders?
About 4.
And they're mostly him playing around, strangling people,
yep.
and then a knife here and there. So
yes.
we have not seen him.
But remember, he's young. He's 21.
He's 21,
yeah.
But he hasn't done anything since. He's been put into prison, and we've never heard another peep out of him.
So he's 61 now. He's looking very much old man Logan style strength. He looks like, he reminds me of the guy in Don't Breathe, you know, I think is Ike Clanton. That's what he kind of feels to me.
Right.
It could be a lot of like, you go back to why was he ever able to sustain 6 gunshots to begin with? Mm-hmm. When these patients are being worked on and being poked and prodded, they're probably being filled up with some of the most ridiculous medicine and drugs to try and get them to do something. And remember when...
Steroids?
No, but like they could have an effect. They're like, let's try this to get him to do something. Oh, let's try this. And then like he's catatonic, right? Or at least we're supposed to believe that. I think they introduced that in Halloween 2, as a matter of fact, about him being catatonic. I'm not sure. It doesn't matter. The problem is like you can have any explanation for that he's been 40 years of just thinking about what he's going to do if he's going to get out, and he's ready to play because he's got new toys, and the toys are his strength, baby. He can get down like never before, and he's gonna. And you know what? These guys probably pissed him off. I'd be pissed off.
He's still 60 years old and hasn't done anything for 40 years.
Did you see Ric Flair at 60 years old?
Yeah, well, he ain't Ric Flair.
Woo!
Obviously, they've been watching this guy for this entire time. Have they seen him do a push-up? Have they seen him do anything?
Well, it doesn't matter because at this point, we know that he's been waiting for his moment, or just he's like that crazed dog that once they get out of the kennel, they're going to be able to go.
Okay.
But if you hold them in that kennel for too long, when they get out, Dios madre, they're going to go nuts, right? Yes, we do see a more aggressive Michael. Give you that. But the stalking shape and shadow of him is back and alive and well. He's shown on the streets of Haddonfield. By the way, such a cool moment with these 2 trick-or-treaters. They're just these 2 kids walking down the street, the sidewalk. And one of the kids says a word that is synonymous with being cute during the Halloween time. And he's like, do you want to go over to that house? They're too spoopy. I was like, oh. And then
he's not making spoopy a thing right now.
It's spoopy. Then they bump into Michael Myers, and the one kid goes, hey, what the? Cool. He's like, I'm out of here. And I love, you have to love this scene of him stalking house to house in Haddonfield. Okay, right. Yes, because there's an L-Rod. homage. There's
I'm okay with the homage, but now he's not stalking at all. He's just going house to house, murdering.
At random, which is so
random, but we're not
terrifying.
We don't have Michael stalking anyone. He's just walking into the house, kills somebody, grabs a knife, goes to the next house, walks around the house, kills the next one.
It's just a methodical evil has come, and it's come for you. Death has come.
It's not Michael from Halloween 1 or Halloween 2.
Right.
It's just a totally new Michael.
But we do see elements of of Michael from Halloween 1 later on when he's stalking the babysitters, or the babysitter that's looking after what's the little kid's name? Julian, the best kid ever.
Kind of.
Yeah, he's so freaking awesome. We see aspects of it, but you know what? It's aspects of the old. Like I said with that synthesizer thing, we have the old. Now we have to pump it up. But it's just it's like a one shot of him going through. He goes into a shed. He gets a hammer. He kills one woman. He goes into. And he gets a knife from that house. He goes into another house and he slits. It's so cool. And it's a way we've never seen Michael before that isn't, 7 feet tall, stepping, like a big oaf through the woods or whatever. This is Michael just staying true to himself from the original in a sense, but still being creepy. Of course, the music helps. It's just a fun moment. And I like it.
I think it's cool. I don't think it's Michael from 78. It just feels like it feels like the franchise Michael to me. So I know you're laughing at me because I am looking at all these things like you shit on this franchise and now you're bringing it all back. We get a totally different Michael than we had in even the 80 sequel. Michael wasn't this aggressive. He was a little more like, I'll use a hammer. I mean, that was
he's not aggressive. Moment. He's dunking the girl's head in the scalding hot water.
He is.
He's walking through doors.
He's walking through doors. That's where we first get it. Yeah, of course, which became a franchise favorite because it's redone in every film almost.
Sure, but look, man. I mean, you have to push it. You have to push it a little bit because there's a new story to be told here, and this is their Michael. But at the same time, I'm scared of Michael again. And that's why I think they were going for it. But you don't have to scare me by him being vicious. You have to scare me in how he gets to his victims with such ease and prowess, and how easy it is. Yeah, how easy it is for him to get to these people. It's just, for me, I thoroughly enjoyed that.
Yeah, there's an ease of him getting around, but I just feel like the assassin Michael, the one that goes into the shadows, he goes right into a house and kills somebody, walks past their baby as they're crying.
Sure.
And I think he almost gives like a look to the baby, like, no, not you.
Did you know that the baby's voice was actually Jamie Lee Curtis?
Really?
Yeah, she was dubbing the baby, and the teacher in Allison's classroom is the voice of PJ Souls.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Why is Jamie Lee Curtis taking all of the work?
I sent in my voice reel for that baby and I didn't get it.
Can't we give? I mean, everyone needs work, Jamie. Seriously, come on. You've done how many Halloween films now?
Hey, you get it, girl. I love you, Jamie Lee Curtis. Keep going. So we've got a manhunt. Essentially, the doctor has been asked to be a consultant to help the deputy, but we don't need them because we have the ultimate killing, the ultimate hunting machine, and that is Laurie Strode is on the hunt. She's trying to help. She's trying to guard her or safeguard her family. That's not working out. By the way, we're introduced to Allison and Karen, but we also got to mention the dad, who's hilarious. But I have to mention this line because he's shown trying to no, I have to. He's trying to get they have a mouse problem, so he's been putting one thing on he's been putting one thing on fluff marshmallow fluff, right, or something like that. He's been putting on the mouse traps and it's not working, so now he's gonna put peanut butter, and he's like, yeah, that'll teach you little fuckers, or whatever he says, and then he gets peanut butter on himself. He's like, oh, I got peanut butter on my penis. I was just like, why is that line needed?
Because who's the writers?
Yeah, okay.
Danny McBride fucking wrote that line. He had to have.
I got peanut butter on my penis.
My penis. That guy's a comedian, right?
Yeah, well, he's been in everything. He's just when you see his face, and I'm forgetting his name, but when you see his face, you're like, oh, that dude. Halloween 2018 reintroduces a lot of what we knew from the franchise, but I think it brings back a scary Michael, and that's all I wanted. I wanted that so badly, and but I didn't need him to be a huge hulking mess. So I think coming back to a body style that's more stylist, more like Nick Castle. Of course, and by the way, Nick Castle making a cameo in the movie. When Laurie finally sees and finds Michael in a house, she shoots through a window to what she thinks is him, but it's his reflection. But when he sees her on the reflection of a mirror, he does the head tilt. That head tilt is Nick Castle. So dope, right? And now what's so cool about that moment is that
Oh, no.
Michael, as soon as he gets shot at, he's like, I'm out of here. He just takes off, and he's just like walking. He's like, I ain't gonna deal with this shit. And then Laurie gets him. She plugs him good, and she's not shooting with like a pea shooter.
No,
she's out. Oh gosh, didn't mention this in the Rob Zombie Halloween, but I like it when Loomis is hunting, was getting he's getting his gun, and he's got the 22, and the gunsmith says, yeah, that's all right if you just want to piss it off, but if you want to blow its fucking head off, here's what you want. 44 caliber Magnum, whatever he sells him, right? And it's just like, that's what Laurie's shooting with, like one of those badass big guns that if you shoot somebody, it's going to leave a hole the size of a baseball.
Right.
So she gets him good on the shoulder, and she almost ends up shooting the deputy. So now, like, Michael does get away, but they have that interaction with each other. But Michael is not out to get Laurie, and I love that. I love it because nobody's safe.
Okay.
Nobody's safe, Lance. You're not safe playing tag where you touch base. You're not safe.
Okay, maybe that's part of the storyline, but the whole movie is set up to have them face off. Laurie is expecting him, waiting for him the whole time, and Michael, of course, continues to end up in her lap. So the whole movie is set up for them to face each other.
Yes, it is set up for them to face each other. I totally agree.
So I don't buy into the fact that he's not going after her.
But how did they end up together?
I get it. The doctor, you needed a vessel yet again. Just
yes,
like the podcast.
He is the vessel. The doctor, by the way, shows his true colors because as he's hired as, well, not hired, what? He's brought in on as a consultant or like to help the deputy track down Michael. And there's a cool, oh my God, hold on. Scariest scene in the movie. Michael in the backyard of the Elrods.
Sure.
Wow, it's like it's a tough crowd. You know what I'm saying? Michael's in the backyard with the, I guess, friend of Allison's boyfriend, who is now trying to hit on Allison, and she leaves him high and dry. So he's in the backyard of the Elrods, which is kind of cool, the name that they use again. And he sees Michael, and they have area lights, right? Mm-hmm. Motion sensor lights,
yeah.
And he's just there. He's like, "Hi, Mr. Elrod." That's what he thinks it is, but it's Michael, right?
Yeah, Michael's like in the back, in the darkness.
Yeah,
even though the lights are coming on.
So the lights turn off, and when they turn back on, Michael's closer. And I know you've seen this gag before, but it is shot so well. Screw the lights out movie. This was done well because every time he gets closer, it's not like a, you see him here, you see him right in front of you, then you see him again, then you see him. It's like one straight line. It's a different shot each time. And the last one, right before it goes off for the final time, he's like, you could hear his breathing through the mask. And it's just terrifying, folks. I mean, like, honestly, if you have a chance to watch this movie, that part is so scary. And of course, he ends up attacking that dude. And, the guy tries to get away, gets caught on a wrought iron fence, through the mouth. What a wonderful moment, because that dude deserved it. And Allison comes back, and he kind of deserved it. He was being he was being a bit pervy.
He did, yeah.
Allison comes back because she hears him screaming. She's like, all right, what is it, right? And that's when Michael and Allison face off, and it turns into the best track in the entire soundtrack. Michael meets or finds Allison, and and the effect is a violin bow across an electric guitar. Burn. That's the best way I can describe it. But
That's great. That's a great. Yeah.
But when you're watching that shit in the theaters, I just did it to myself. You're just kind of like, okay, let's get going, because now he's gonna start chasing her. Well done, very well done.
Yeah, I understood what the effect was supposed to do on the lighting part. It didn't hit to me. I don't know. Maybe I was just already disgruntled about the film, but it just didn't land for me. But I do love the chase scene, and again, this is one of my far and beyond favorite soundtracks of any horror film. I thought it was fucking fantastic. So
I will say
I'll give it that, and it builds so much tension, and I love that bow thing going on. Like, that is such an awesome sound. So there were amounts of tension, especially down that line when we get to that point, and now the chase is on a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm into that.
Did you? I'm curious because Caitlin posed this question to me, and I actually have gone back and forth. How do you like the actor that plays Allison? How do you like her portrayal of Allison?
She's fine. She's a third character to me.
Did you end up liking Vicky more, the babysitter?
Yeah, she's very likable.
Right?
Yeah.
We both agreed on that. We liked Vicky more, which it's Dave, Vicky, and Allison. That's the crew. But Vicky's actually the only babysitter. She's looking after Julian, and that little kid is so goddamn hilarious.
Yeah, he's a very talented kid. He reminds me a
show.
lot of the characters that we've seen throughout, but not in like a purposeful way.
No, he just steals the show. He's just this like very funny kid.
But you're right. She's like the greatest babysitter throwback. She reminds me of a Linda and Annie kind of mashed together into one sort of a thing.
She's got a lot of Rachel in her, you know?
Yeah,
right?
There's a lot of characters, but they didn't do much with her, unfortunately.
Well, they did she meets her end, but that actor's portrayal of Vicky, I ended up liking the Vicky character way more. It was cool. So I remember thinking that. I was like,
yeah, I can see Allison's character being like, when you watch like sequels, trilogies, and all this kind of stuff, the first film will kind of give you a taste, and then it makes it better for the second film. When you go back, when you watch the second film, and then you go back, I feel like her character could really develop in the second one, and this first film, you'll be like, okay,
I see. About Allison?
Allison.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think her character will be better in the second one. It'll make the first one better. I like her. I think she's like nice to look at.
It's something that unfortunately, and no disrespect, obviously, that Scout Taylor Compton just didn't have.
Yeah,
it's something that's just like while you're watching, you're like, this is not an appealing image. It's not about the person, the way they look. It's just she was shot very well, and I'm sorry if I'm not articulating this the best way, but it was a enjoyable performance, and and she gave the character a nice calmness and comfort that you were like, I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying this image, this portrayal.
Right. But it's not over the top. There's a lot of I guess like woman power in this, but it's not over the top or in your face kind of a thing.
Right.
I love the actress that plays Karen. I think she's so underutilized in the film.
Right. Judy Greer.
Yes. I think she's fantastic.
Who's typically a comedic actress.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think she's great in this film. I just think she's totally underutilized, and some of what she has, I'm kind of surprised by. I hope going forward they kind of supplement that and make her an even stronger character and a better character and give her more screen time, because she's a lot of fun to watch.
So we have this awesome deputy Yost, and they have found Allison. They're going to everyone now knows, or at least the people that matter know, that Michael has escaped and he is killing and he's hunting. So the doctor and the deputy find Allison and are going to take her to the sanctuary, which is Grandma Strode's fortress, essentially. So on their way over there, they spot he tells her, just keep your eyes open, and they spot Michael. They spot him, and the thing is that deputy was there. He even says, he's like, I was there. We had one job that night, shoot to kill or something like that, right?
Right.
So he sees him, and if you ever wondered what those bumpers in front of the police cruisers are for, it's for this fucking moment. You hear it And you could hear Sartan, the doctor, be like, no, wait. And he just finds Michael and he plows this dude with the bumper and sends Michael flying. If he didn't break his chest bone, which that's a bone, right? if he didn't break the concaval region of the chestual region, if he didn't break that, I'd be very surprised. But he gets off. Remember, Allison is in the car, but she's where they keep usually the prisoners or the arrestees, right? So she can't get out. Okay, we will agree on one thing, my friend, and it is this moment. So the deputy's got Michael dead to rights. He's like, I'm still gonna blow this motherfucker's head off. He's about to blow his head off, and Dr. Satan is in the way. And we see the whole time the doctor's been the wolf in sheep's clothing. He's had an ulterior motive. He has a pen that turns into a dagger or whatever and stabs the deputy in the neck because he is the reason that Michael was able to escape. He is the hidden agenda.
Kind of.
Well, yeah.
Did you not pick up? I picked up on the line right away for some reason. And then the way his character is portrayed the rest of the way, it just magnifying his first line about Michael when he's going is like, I'll be right by your side the whole time, Michael.
Yeah, yes. Well, if you watch it in retrospect,
I know I caught it in the theater. I was like, you're the new fucking Dr. Wynn. And I immediately caught that. Okay. And then his behavior the rest of the way, I'm like, he's not a Loomis.
No, but he's a fan almost. He's a fan of Michael. He's
that's what he becomes. But like, as he progresses, I'm like, he's not a Loomis. Like, you don't feel a Loomis in this. You're right. He does.
He's like the ultimate curious completionist. I have to know more,
Right. And with that line, if you do catch it, which you're right, more retrospect, you'll catch it. But I caught it in the theater and I was like, okay.
Yeah.
It starts to get worse and worse. I'm like, he's going to do something at some point.
Listen, I will go on records to say the Doctor is not my favorite, but I know and I've defended why the Doctor exists in the movie.
I know why he exists. I mean, it's because of what I always say is my favorite movies are the ones with Loomis in it, because Loomis tells Michael's story in a better way than Michael can.
At this point, the Doctor has taken upon himself to see his patient out in the wild. Is the reason that we have Michael was able to escape, because I don't think he was trying to, but now that he has escaped, the Doctor is able to observe him in the wild, is like, see what Michael can do. And what happens right now, and it's not that we haven't seen this before, but it is one of the most sacrilegious as far as like the Bible of Halloween franchise is concerned. Allison's looking on from the back seat. She doesn't know really what's going on because she doesn't see any more people standing, because the Doctor has bent over to take Michael's mask off, put it on, and look back at Allison. And honestly, the entire theater that I watched, that packed theater, went...
It was emotional.
Yeah, it was a clutch my pearls. No. Not do that. My. So the Doctor, who remember was shot by the dancing kid earlier, he's got a gimp arm, right? So he's loading Michael, who's heavy as shit, into the police cruiser.
Yeah.
With one hand, and he's like, he takes the mask off, and he's like, make room for my patient. Now he's the evil scientist or whatever, right? So he puts him back there with Allison, and he says, we have to see Michael reunited with Laurie Strode. It is what needs to happen, because he's convinced that something needs to come of this, which, fuck it. Yeah, there does need to be something, but maybe we'll learn more about it in the newer ones. But it's not that they're related. I don't know. What do you think? It's like unfinished business.
Well, yeah, he says something about them not being able to survive without each other, essentially, that Laurie can't survive without the thought of Michael being alive and coming to hunt her, and Michael won't survive without being able to hunt her or something like that. There's this.
I think, yeah. I mean, Laurie, I think he gets that. He nails that. Mm-hmm. But we've seen that Michael isn't. He's not looking for Laurie. But now that he sees her, he's like, you got it. I remember you. So Of course, Michael's not dead. He's just knocked out. So he's been transported, and the doctor is poking and prodding as far as like while he's driving, he's trying to get information out of Allison because she had an interaction with him.
Yeah, and don't forget, this is a great tension scene because Michael is knocked out in the back seat with Allison. They are next to each other. There's nothing dividing them.
Right.
Imagine, that's a terrifying scene to me. Imagine being stuck in a back seat of a car you can't get out of. There's a cage. There's a locked door. There's no way out, and you're next to Michael fucking Myers.
There you go, baby.
There you go.
You got to say it just like that because you got to be like, what happened? Nah, I spent all Halloween night stuck in the back of a police cruiser. What sucks is that the person right next to me was Michael Myers. Ooh,
there it
that's
is.
So scary. So she kind of she knows that Allison is who I'm talking about. She can see that the doctor is very much super inquisitive. So she's like, I can use this to my advantage because I need him to let me out. So he's like, wanting to know if he said anything, maybe he will speak. He's talking about like the eventual reunion of Lori and Michael, and she's like, well, he said something to me. Stops the car right away, and he's like, what did he say? What did he say? Did he say the sister's name? Was it Judith? Well, she's like, if you let me out, I'll tell you. And he's like, what did he say? And when he's inquiring and quizzing her, we see that the mask is not by her side anymore. Michael is starting to breathe again, and it is put on, and Michael is back conscious, and Sartan sees him in the rear view mirror, and he's like, Michael, like trying to like stop him, and Michael with all his might just starts kicking the divider and is able to kick him so hard against the steering wheel. Allison is able to get out in that instant. And
you ever been in the back of a cop car?
Yes.
How tall do you think Michael is?
What? It's an SUV.
Is it?
Yes.
All right.
It's not a car.
Okay.
I know where you were going, but it's very uncomfortable. My knees were like right here.
I had to sit sideways in mine.
Yeah,
the hands behind.
I was just going on a joyride. Yeah. It was for school. So Michael gets out, and oh boy, he destroys Sartan in a Halloween 2 Rob Zombie's version way. He stomps on his head and just pumpkin guts it. Yeah. So like that, actually, I remember telling you, I'm not a fan of that. Yeah. Because I don't need that. You imagine that there's a lot of maybe frustration because he's been having to deal with this doctor his whole time locked up. So he's like, you son of a bitch, I got you now. He probably had the same thing that I had in my head. You're not Loomis. Smash. Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? The whole, and again, back to the audience, they were like, yeah, and that's what you get. Sort of put on the mask, act like Loomis, get the hell out of here. Right. So, it eventually leads to the very final act where we have Laurie Strode and Karen Strode and Allison on her way to deal with Michael, who is now going to do some very inventive kills. As you know, that was a really cool what he did with the 2 deputies, who was like a homage to part 5. He decapitates one deputy's head, takes out all the insides of like the skull and everything, and makes it into a jack-o'-lantern, and has the other deputy who's dead hold it with a flashlight through it. So cool. He pulls this off really fast too. It's because these hands, baby, and they are magic. We got to get to work. Oh man, he starts teleporting pretty quickly. I mean, he pulls that off, and then he pulls up at the house. Right. I don't know how he knows exactly where Laurie lives. Well, I think he just because the cars are near the house already. Near the house, so he gets near it. Allison takes the long way through the woods because she's trying to avoid him. Yeah, this whole time I feel like it's been set up that Laurie's kind of in the middle of nowhere. You can find the front gate, but it's going to be hard to find no matter what. Right. And Allison finds it while running through the woods, and then Michael finds it on his own through the cop car. So yeah, like. Again, I guess it's supposed to be a setup for Michael the whole time anyway, so... I mean, yes. Look, without going any more into detail for shot, there's a lot of cool kills. Laurie has a bunker set up with all guns imaginable. Lots of cool doomsday prepping sort of situation. Yeah. It's revealed that Karen, before she was taken away by the state, was very much, trained.
Trained.
She was very much trained and ready to go.
We had a flashback scene of it.
Yeah, and that's okay.
Yeah, that was okay.
She has her own gun with her initials on her. It says KS, because she's ready to kick some ass.
Yes.
Laurie's got the island in the kitchen is, it sways off of a remote, it sways.
It's
to
a trap
open.
door kind of a thing where you don't know it's there unless you know it's there, and you hit a button or a remote control.
And it leads down to the
and it's all metal. Super heavy.
Very cool. Lots of high tension with Laurie now searching for Michael, who's made his way into the house after a little bit of a tussle with her.
Okay. You set the trap of the house. You put the iron bars down. You got your shotgun. Everything's locked up. You're ready to go. Why do you stand next to a door with some glass on it? You know what Michael's going to do. Yeah,
but the glass had the iron.
He smashed through it.
Hey, we didn't know he was doing the weights.
Okay, so then we blow off his fingers.
Yeah, we
three
do.
or two of them.
Two.
Okay, we blow off 2 fingers. And now Michael makes his way in somehow.
Well, because he reached through to strangle Laurie. She's able to shoot him off, so he just pulls over the
oh, that's right. She runs off. He opens the door.
So she runs down with Karen, who's downstairs.
He opens the door. Now he's got 2 less fingers, but he still has time during this to go outside, get the dad who he just killed, pick him up. And the dad's in chains now. He's got his hands.
He was strangled with like wind chimes or something.
Yeah, so he's picking him up with 2 fingers, and you'll notice I got my 2 fingers blown off.
Get out of here, man!
And he needs to go and do his little.
It's the other way. Those fingers he doesn't have. That's what he's doing. I was
copying you. Whatever, man.
I did that.
They make it so bloody, and the scene is. What I do like about the movie is it's shot dark, which it's not super bright and light, and I love that it's shot in the dark. You don't see his eyes, through the mask.
To the old DP of Dean Cundy.
That's the way it should be.
Yes, sir.
Always. Everyone needs to copy that for Michael Myers if you're going to continue to make Michael Myers movies. But so he finds time to go out, get the dad, and do his ceremony. I'm going to shove you in the closet, sort of a thing.
Hey, he did it for Linda. He hung Bob upside down.
He's missing 2 fingers, man. He took a shotgun to the fingers.
Man, do you need these fingers? Be honest.
I would be hurting.
I could do some stuff with this.
Oh man. But if you're on the hunt for somebody, you're like, holy shit, she's kind of prepared for me. I'm still gonna do my thing.
Sure, yeah. No, he's got a ceremony. You're right. He's got a presentation. He's like, I'm gonna make this right. So he's gotta set up the false traps. He's gotta set all that up. So yeah, I got you.
I hate the mannequin room too, but I get it.
But very effectively done. These are all. There's a bunch of mannequins set up at this fortress of Laurie because this is what she's been using to target practice with. Yeah. Who she is a crack shot. So what we have is Laurie then leaving Karen downstairs again. Laurie, I always wondered, why did she shoot through the floor? And it was a way to kind of show Michael like, I'm strapped down here, and it was a way to scare, because after that scene where she strangles him, she goes downstairs, closes the deal, and is waiting for Michael, and she feels him, hears him step around. She shoots twice, and then you don't see him anymore because he's like, I'm gonna avoid the gun. Yeah. I'm gonna be more element of surprise. Let me just go grab the dad real quick, and then I'm gonna take him upstairs. So Laurie now goes through the house that has been definitely set up to be a bit of a trap house, trap doors, trap doors.
It's set up to be a security house, and now that he's in, it's kind of like from 4, where we're in the deputy's house, sort of thing. And I don't mean that as a throwback. I'm not giving it shit for that.
I got you.
It's kind of a similar thing where we're meant to believe that she's trying to protect this house and keep everyone outside of the house. But now Michael's in, and it's kind of a double standard sort of a thing where...
Yeah, it's a trap. It's
actually
set up to, like, if he's in this room, she could press a button and a steel grate will come down at where the door is supposed to be and lock him in. So she's clearing room by room. It's very cool. She's, like, very much in control, but you could tell that she's still scared, which I thoroughly enjoyed because it made me scared. Because I'm like, if Laurie's scared, I'm scared because of how prepared she is.
She's a badass. She's supposed to be a badass in this. So yeah, if she is scared, then for sure.
Yeah. So they get to where he's been hiding, which is upstairs in the bedroom, and they tussle and stuff, and she's got a knife. She's going to go after, because he gets the shotgun away, which is what he wanted to do. He didn't want to get shot by that, so he gets it away from her. She tries to stab him, and Michael then gets Lori and is able to throw her off the second story. She falls down to the ground, and he's looking over and sees her kind of splayed out, almost like if he's like, 40 years ago, I think I fell off the second story and but that's not the point.
It takes a very long pause up there.
Well, because he's like looking, he's like, I gotta go down and get her.
He's 60 years old now.
Yeah,
so
he's probably like waiting for her to come to, so he can be like, come back up.
Is it over?
Yeah, he's just checking on her, but then he hears Allison, who has found the house, and is like, Mom, grandmother. And then, Karen is still downstairs, is able to get Allison to come down while Michael's like, but Michael turns around because he looks back, Lori's gone. And it's almost like, that's what that feels like. It's like when Batman always, disappears on you and somebody finally does it to him. He's like, shit, that's what that feels like.
Yeah.
So now Allison is downstairs with Karen, and I love this scene because it got me so bad when I was watching it for the first time. Karen she's between this sort of struggle. Do I want to go back to having to get my gun and be this thing that I was trying to forget that I was raised this way?
Right.
But do I finally believe that in what my mom said? And it's a really touching scene because as sort of not crass, but like edgy as the content material, it's like being raised to know how to shoot guns and stuff. There's a sweetness to it because it's like, well, my mom really did have my best interest at heart the entire time.
It's kind of like the dancer kid. It's the same kind of payoff. Like that's what we're getting at.
Right. So Michael has found the island in the kitchen. He knows that they're under there. So he just starts, kind of working it, trying to like throw it off. And he finally throws it off. And Karen, my goodness, with the ultimate oop-de-oop. I love this moment. And the theater erupted for this moment. Because you feel it too. You're like, Karen hasn't got a gun this whole time. You don't know how she's going to handle it.
My thing with this, I don't want to see Michael struggle with his island. I want to know that he is. What would have been really creepy in this scene is because they're in the basement. They hear him banging around and walking upstairs. Mm-hmm. I would have loved it to not see Michael at all during this point and not know where he is. Get some of that stalker Michael back. It would have been... those scenes are terrifying to me when you don't see him and you hear him.
Well, I think the stalking is over. This kind of reminded me of him hitting the closet to get to Lori.
Yeah, but at the same time, we haven't really gotten enough stalking in my book for Michael. So if you kind of revert back to like, Lori's out of the picture. We don't know where the hell she is right now. But now Michael's like, you know what? I'm going after the weak ones, and I'm going to do my old tactics, and I'm going to go that darker in the shadows kind of a route. And we never see him filmed, that we're just walking through the house.
Sure.
I would have just loved that little extra, like that would have been really great for me.
Right.
But, and then he struggles with his little fingers.
Well, look, that thing is not meant to just come off like that.
I know, but I don't want to see Michael struggle with it. You know what I mean? Like,
okay, well, pick and choose, man. What do you want? You want to see him?
I don't want to see him do anything. I want to hear what he's doing. Because that terrifies me more than anything. Like the strangers always terrified me because of the sound or the lack of sound. So when you get a good bang or a pop, I'm like, what the hell is he doing?
I mean, those bangs are terrifying because they're so loud and they're so like aggressive.
That's exactly what I'm saying. So if I don't know what he's doing and he's making those sounds, I'm way more terrified in this scene.
Sure. And you really maybe see him push it once or twice, but I get what you're saying. I totally get it. And that's totally understandable. Absolutely. But he finally gets the island thrown over, and it's just a view from the stairs down, and Karen has got the rifle, and she's very much like screaming out to Lori,
I can't do it.
I can't do it, Mom. Yeah. I can't do it. And you haven't seen her hold a gun, so you're like, dang, I don't know how. So she oops, she okey dokes Michael. He does the dun like from the original on the staircase, the pivot, and as soon as he's in her view, she just about faces and just goes, gotcha. Boom! Shoots him right in the shoulder, cheek. Shoots him right in the cheek. Behind him, who's lurking in the shadows?
The new shape.
You're You're so that way, dude. You're so that way. Grandma Lori. And it's
You just had to say Grandma Lori at this point.
She's a grandma. I know.
Oh man,
Grandma Lori kicks ass. Kiss it. You know.
Oh, man.
She. You know. They start fighting. I've said it already. Grandma Lori.
I know, but in this moment, it just is way funnier to me.
Right. Well, it's because you could say old man Logan. I just don't know what it's like.
It's so degrading to Michael. Say Grandma Lori just hunted down Michael.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Oh,
Grandma
I
Lori.
hate it.
Oh, get out. Okay,
Come
I'll
on.
just say Lori then. Okay, because we can't imagine that a grandma could kick major ass. This one can. This one could kick major ass. But in any case, Lori and Allison and Karen are all pretty much teeing off. Michael falls down into the basement and Allison gets out. Karen is on her way out. Michael does the sit up and he grabs Karen by the leg. And now Allison is being, it's fight or flight at this point. She's like, am I going to get involved or am I not? And she does. She picks up the kitchen knife that is on the floor, stabs Michael twice in the hand. He lets Karen go. They're all up there and he's down there, and it's very creepy because he's starting to come up and they have it built in the whole time. It wasn't a cage as it was referenced before. The basement is a trap. They're able to lock him in with some real tough iron spikes that go into the opening. Very cool stuff. It is revealed Lori has rigged the entire house this whole time to go up in flames. No matter what room she may have caught him in, he was going to die. So cool. The whole house starts to go up in flames with a really cool track of The Shape Burns. Great stuff, man. It's awesome. It's an awesome moment.
What I do like about this moment is Michael's, if they are not related and there's no connection or whatever, Michael coming up the stairs and he looks at these three women like, son of a bitch. There's this great pause moment on Michael and he doesn't quite do the head tilt, but it's kind of tilted. I was like, oh my God. And now I'm going to get you kind of a thing. Oh, yeah. You know what I mean? Now, if I didn't care before, now I do. I like that part.
That is shot beautifully of the flames just engulfing Michael and him not breaking eye contact with Lori and Allison and Karen. It's just like, you're going to get it now. Totally, Lance. I love that shit.
Yeah, that I do appreciate. And even if you still play with the connection in this, it's still a great shot.
There's a connection now. You better believe that shit.
Yeah.
He's like, I didn't get you in 78, and now you just.
Oh, girlfriend, let's go.
Oh, girlfriend, we gon' fight.
We gon' tango.
So the girls get away, see a truck that's driving by. They're able to get in the back because Lori has sustained injuries. She needs a doctor. But what's so cool, the final image you see, as you remember Laurie Strode in 1978, always dropping the knife any chances she got. They pan, they see Karen, Lori, and now Allison down to her hand, still holding the kitchen knife. End credits.
Yeah. Okay.
Great flick, man. Great flick.
So what are you saying about the knife? You kind of mentioned this earlier.
I haven't decided. I don't even know what that interpretation is. I just know that there's something there that Lori would always drop it, and the one time that Allison had to use it, she didn't.
I totally forgot about this scene, but it made me laugh every time I watched it so far.
Peanut butter on my penis.
Not peanut butter on my penis. That makes me cringe, actually. There's a scene where Michael's doing his kills on the street when he first hits the street on Halloween night.
Yeah.
And he comes up on this couple coming out. And I think they're dressed as doctors or something.
Those are Julian's parents.
Oh, they are Julian's parents. Okay, perfect. That's perfect because it matches Julian so well. But the dad goes, "Oh, I gotta go I forgot the keys," and goes back inside. And what happens? This is something I said about our first episode. The keys are always in your pocket. And what happens? He comes out. Oh, they're in my pocket the whole time.
There it is. Pocket.
That is a throwback to a fan like myself and you. That is so funny and such a good if you get it, you get it. If you don't, doesn't matter. Because the keys.
The keys.
There it is. I had to throw it in the finale,
guys. I will defend, not that I need to, because I think a lot of people do share this feeling about this movie. certainly the certified freshers on the Rotten Tomatoes share my feelings about this.
Oh,
That
God,
this
gross. I hate Rotten Tomatoes.
well, this is tomatoes. So anyway, no, I was so appeased pleasantly watching this movie. I'm everything that I wanted out of a sequel that has waited this long to be done. I didn't mind the idea that of it taking it into a new direction. There's going to be 2 more films about it. They've been already named. One was actually supposed to be out this month. Unfortunately, it tis not. But Halloween Kills is the next one, and then Halloween Ends is the final of the 3 new ones, concluding a saga, the Laurie and Michael saga, as they're calling it.
Okay. I feel like they're gonna make a trilogy. Well, I guess this is actually gonna be 4 films, right?
Yeah, if you include the original.
I feel like it's a way to break out of the 2 movie trope that Halloween has kind of had, or 3 movie trope.
Yeah, I think David Gordon Green, that's the director and writer, was able to say that these ideas that are going to be in Halloween Kills and Ends they had always thought about them, and they always talked about them and stuff, but they wanted, and they could have put it into this one, but they wanted to see how this one did, and people loved it. So here we are. We're going to see 2 more.
Okay.
With Laurie Strode obviously back, Jamie Lee Curtis, but a returning Kyle Richards playing grown-up Lindsay Wallace, a returning Charles Cyphers playing Sheriff Brackett, not a sheriff anymore, and actually a few more returners.
A few new additions, right?
Yeah, for sure, and a few new characters that you've heard about, but you've never seen. Like, hey, Lonnie, get your ass away from there. Lonnie, you're gonna see Lonnie.
So basically, all the kids from the original are grown up now, and we're gonna because Tommy's a part of this.
Oh, Tommy Doyle is back, but he's played by Michael C. That's correct. Yeah. And Nancy Stevens is back as Nurse Marion Stevens, or Marion Crane. No, that's Psycho. Marion Chambers.
Yes, Chambers.
Marion Chambers.
Okay.
Yeah.
You kind of mentioned the synopsis of the next one, or little tidbits that it might be out there.
What the idea is that Halloween Kills is obviously a continuation of and there's a small teaser trailer out right now of the women driving away from the Myers house and fire trucks on their way to put out the fire, and them screaming, "Let it burn," which, Usher said it too, so it doesn't matter. So the point is, what, Lance? What? No,
Let it burn, Danny.
It's the town's revenge. It's the town, like, we're not going to go through this bullshit again. What's going on? We're ready to fight back. So it's a town enraged about Michael being back and killing. He's killed a multitude of people that have different connections. He's killed. Yeah, just what I said.
I feel like that was something that was always hinted at throughout the franchise, we never truly got. We got a fed up Earl in Halloween 4 and his, band of misfits, and we got that quite often. Cancel Halloween and Halloween 5, and then Halloween 6 it's been canceled and it's coming back. And what?
Your favorite sequel of all time. Remember when they're throwing the rocks and stuff?
Yeah. We got a little, little outrage, a little bit of outrage, but we always.
But that was very surface. You're right.
Very little bit in that one, but we've always hinted at that. And I think when you first told me this, I was like, oh, great, it's the Purge. The whole town is, and we're under Blumhouse. So, but at the same time, like, this is a new concept, and you're gonna get me because this is what you did with Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. You and I were both very excited about a new vision, away from the origins, away from a remake, away from anything else, a new Haddonfield, new horrors of Michael Myers going off. That is something that actually does excite me for going for. If we're going to continue this franchise and continue making these movies, that's something I can get behind for now.
I think it's going to be a great new installment, something that hasn't been explored in the past, as you mentioned, something that is obviously something that a town would normally go through. You as a town, a small town, have been dealing with this just stigma
Right.
of like, oh, Haddonfield, Illinois, isn't that where Michael Myers is from and where he killed all those people and his sister and all that stuff? So it's like, yeah, we were able to maybe get away from it. We were having Halloween normally, and now he's back and he's doing it again. We're not gonna take it. So I'm very excited to see where this is going. And with a name like Halloween Kills, I'm just worried because just bringing back Kyle Richards as Lindsay, let's just say that she is a victim. That would actually hit me pretty hard, because I would imagine how sad that must be. As you know, you're a little girl, you survive, you live your whole life just so, you know, the sins of the past, but like, not that she had to deal with it. Actually, little Lindsay Wallace hot pants, you know.
That's true.
That's probably what you get.
Yeah, that's totally
But it shows
true.
a very capable Michael C. Hall playing is it Michael C. Hall?
Yeah,
That's his name, right? Okay. Playing Tommy Doyle. He's got like a buzz cut. He's got a bat. He's looking like jacked and
Oh, you've
stuff.
seen him already? I
Yeah,
haven't
it's a
seen those
little
yet.
tiny teaser before this new teaser.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm still in the message boards. I'm still talking to people.
Yeah, I've kind of backed off. Yeah. Oh God. See, Halloween's done with us.
Oh man.
Let's go back to Halloween 2018. Danny, how many kitchen knives do you get it?
I am not going to commit I don't know if it's a mistake, but what you did about putting a movie on par with the original, I think the original stands by itself. But because I've said that this is my favorite sequel, I will give Halloween 2018 4.5 kitchen knives.
4.5 from Danny. Danny expects me to give this a 1 or something, but the end result, if I get away from my bitterness and everything, it's a decent Halloween film. It beats the hell out of the last decade of films that we've had.
True that.
It gives me a lot of my favorite moments from the entire franchise, so I can't hate it that much, really. I mean, yeah, the final product of it, I'll give it 3.5. I'll break my half. Yeah. I'll get more into this later on. I'll probably enjoy it down the road, but yeah.
Wow, that's the win.
twist.
That's the win there, that you were able to break your half. Half rule.
3.5. Nowhere close to one of my favorites, but definitely a decent Halloween film. And I do look forward to some new stories with this world of Halloween. That is something I do look forward to. So
I'm glad you said that, because I very much look forward to this new Halloween. Well, I didn't think that I was going to have this much fun talking about one of the most iconic, in my opinion, but definitely my favorite horror movie franchise of all time, my favorite movie of all time in it as well. It's been such a blast to go down this road with someone who is a fan as well, and push me on why I had to defend some of the things that I like, and vice versa.
What's funny is we defend these movies to everyone else, but now we have to defend our own points to each other, which has been the most fun, I think, of this, is when we actually defer on some of this stuff. And we're shocked, and some of the faces Danny has made at my opinions is awesome, and we'll make a collage.
I still can't get over the Halloween 6 one, man. I can't get over it. That took some balls.
Yeah. So, anything else, Danny?
I will say, if you need to borrow any of these movies to watch,
there they are.
There you are. Or just call me. I'll give you a digital code or something.
All right. Well, I have nothing else to say for now. I'm sure we will be back. We'll probably do a live episode about just kind of recapping everything.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, maybe we'll do that around Halloween time. So for this edition of Halloween 2018, that's Danny. I'm Lance, reminding you to
lock your doors,
bolt your windows,
and get some peanut butter on your penis.
God. Oh, man. Thank you for joining us in our Slasher's Paradise. We'll see you next time.